Ladies and gentlemen, James Lane here. This is episode 122 of the American Reveille Podcast. And on this episode, we're going to explain the bigger picture surrounding the Duante Wright story. All right. There is a crime that occurred. All right. Now, was Duante a saint? No. Was the cop a saint? No, they are both guilty in this case, and we're going to talk about that. We're definitely going to talk about that, but there's a bigger picture here, a larger scenario surrounding this whole thing where certain people benefit, certain people are pressured to do certain things or else, all right? Policies are pressured and things are put into place at the whim of very powerful people like Barack Obama that are taking advantage of and leveraging these riots and these unruly crowds of people. And I would go far on to say that these could even be seen. All right, these rioting people, they could be seen as manipulated folks, or they could even be seen as the personal armies of certain people. You never know. You never know. You have people out there calling for the complete abolishment of police after what happened to Duante Wright. All right. So we've got to tie this whole story together. We do. All right. We're going to talk about it. We're going to tell you what it is from the beginning. All right. We're going to show you some videos. We're going to show you some different things that happened as a result of what happened to Duante. We're going to debunk everything good that the left had to say about Duante, because the truth is there really isn't anything good. All right. He's not a good person at all. Does that justify his killing? No. Police officer is at fault. All right. And the police officer and the police chief have resigned at this point, and I'm sure there'll be criminal charges to come. I'm sure there will be. All right. But we need to talk about the rioters, what they really want, and who really benefits from all of this. And then finally, I want to show you the voice of somebody that lives in Brooklyn Center, what the people that actually live there think, what they have to say. And I'm going to tell you the truth, because what they think about the mainstream media and about the riots, it's not pretty. All right. And it's not very supportive. Not at all. All right, guys. So if you really want the truth, all right, if you want to find out what's actually going on in this country and in Minnesota, stay tuned to episode 122 of the American Reveille Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, James Lane here, episode 122 of the American Reveille Podcast. How you guys doing? I know it's been a couple days since we've had a few releases. I apologize about that. I had to get my literature review rough draft. You could imagine multiple 16, 17-hour days getting that thing finished up. It was a 30-page rough draft, and I just had no more time. So that had to get done. Plus, there was kind of a small family issue that had to be taken care of that kind of put a pause in production yesterday. Trust me, I didn't want these things to happen. But look, in your life, just as in my life, family comes first. Is what it is. You would do the same thing, and as did I. So here we are. We can get something out, and at least I can give you a real meaty, juicy, valuable, informative, entertaining, and empowerative. That's a new word, right? Empowering episode that I hope to be hard hitting. I hope it's hard hitting. I hope one of these breaks through this censorship wall at some point. All right. I can't wait to do this sticker contest and get the marketing campaign started and all this other stuff. I'm just waiting for the trademarking process to continue. All right. We've got things being filed so that once we start doing these national advertisements, these street team initiatives, these old school style marketing campaigns, these guerrilla marketing campaigns that don't involve Facebook and YouTube, you know, the old school way, how we did it in the 90s and the 80s. All right. Once we get that started, we're going to get a lot more exposure. It might be slow at first, but that word of mouth spreads and it builds like an avalanche. And I don't want somebody to go, oh, that's a great idea. And that person happened to have a lot more money than me, because I don't have a lot of money. We're bootstrapping this on a budget, baby. I don't want them to steal what we do. I don't. So the trademarking process has to get a little closer before everything's kosher. All right. So before we start putting out the sticker competition, everything like that. So I'm guessing another 4, 5, 6 weeks, something like that. But it's going to be interesting. I've got a lot of cool stuff. Trust me, a lot of cool stuff planned. I'm going to show you a lot of cool stuff in the coming weeks. All right. But I do appreciate you guys sticking around, being patient with me. The soldiers that have been here since the beginning. Thank you guys so much for all the support and finding a way to follow along through the deplatformings that we've had and the censorship that we've had and all the different trolls and issues and Facebook jails and all. I mean, there's a couple people that I know of that have literally been fans of the show since the beginning. And although this is episode 122, we didn't label these things kind of the similar, in a correct kind of sensible way in the beginning. I had a lot of learning to do. I've been doing this over a year now, right? You watch like stand-up comics and stuff, and it takes 4 years, 3 years, 6 years. I mean, we're going to probably have to do this for a couple years, maybe before things go kaboom. It's a big learning process. So I didn't know how that process worked correctly. And now I do. So here we are, right? So I just kind of wanted to get that out, right? I wanted to kind of give you a feel for where we are, what we're doing. Right. And for those watching, I'm going to do something funny. All right. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not. For those listening, you're going to have no idea what I'm talking about unless you watch. And it's not a prop. I promise you it's not a prop. But if you are listening, you might want to check out on Odyssey or Rumble or even YouTube, dare I say. I just want the exposure anyway. You might want to be watching this episode because I'm going to flash a picture maybe once, twice, maybe 3 times during this episode. So you can look at me. You can look at this. I'll show you this briefly. You can take what you want from it. And then we'll move forward with the episode. Okay. All right. We're going back. Actually, we're going here. We need to go here. See this website right here, getthetea.com. All right. Getthetea.com. They are a fantastic company. All right. They make what's called a life change tea. And it's this fantastic proprietary blend of these ancient herbs. I don't know how it works. I don't. I definitely know it works. Because I use it, I drink it, and I thought that, look, I'm going to be honest with you, right? I've got digestion problems, so this is like embarrassing. So, you get, you don't want to talk about, but I'm 36, right? I'm 36 now. So the stomach doesn't work as good as it used to. You get bloated more, you get gassy more, you feel crappy more. It seems that things stay in my intestines and in my colon much longer than I ever would have expected, nor do I want them to. Life Change Tea solves that problem for me. And it doesn't make the nuclear explosion of death happen in the bathroom either. It's gentle. It's good stuff. It's literally a cleanse that you can drink every day. It's not like a 3-day cleanse, a 7-day cleanse for your toxins and to get the waste out of your colon and your intestinal tract and to really, invigorate you and give you more energy and make you just feel so much better. It's not just about that. It's about being able to drink it on a daily basis and not have it interrupt your life, not have it become a hindrance, not have it become less enjoyable and make you feel less not less enjoyable, but less good about yourself because it's sending you to the bathroom every 5 minutes. It's not that type of cleanse. No, this keeps you on your schedule the way you normally are. All right. But it just makes things easier. All right. You want to find out what I mean? You go to getthetea.com, use promo code James, get yourself a packet of Life Change Tea today, free shipping and handling with promo code James. It's totally worth it. I totally drink it. If you're not convinced, stick around for like 2 or 3 minutes at the end of this episode, and I'm going to play a little ad I put together. All right, on Life Change Tea, and you'll be convinced. I swear to you. All right. If you have digestion problems like me, if you feel bloated sometimes like me, feel like you need to cleanse the system, get the digestion tract on the right track. All right. Getthetea.com. Life Change Tea. Use promo code James. Free shipping and handling. All right. Let's get back to the show. Man, we're going to have so many haters. We really are. Hold on. There was an edit like 2 seconds ago because I took a big sip of my water, but now I have water in my mustache. Does anybody have that problem? Anyway, that was gross, right? Listen to me. You have to take into consideration how many haters I deal with. I know you didn't expect me to go there. I deal with so many haters on a daily basis. And I'm going to get them for this because I just realized, what are we, like 10, 15 minutes in? We're like 15 minutes in. I'm telling you all this stuff. And for the diehard fans, I appreciate you. I know this information is going to be valuable to you. And for those that are newer, maybe you don't understand yet, but we build that personal relationship here. All right. We build that bond here. All right. I'm not here to just sell you a t-shirt. All right. I'm here to sell you the truth, ladies and gentlemen. All right. And some people don't like that. Some people want you to get right to the meat and potatoes, and they piss and moan about it. If you don't like that, just fast forward a little through it. I'm so sorry. It's inconvenient for you, but trust me, it's worth it. It's totally worth it, ladies and gentlemen. So, all right, if you are listening on Apple Podcasts, give me that 5-star rating. If you don't want to do it yet, just remember to do it after the show. You're going to like this. You're going to love what you hear. All right. So you can just go right ahead and do it now. Just go there. Just go 5-star rating and be like, the American Reveille is awesome. Episode 122 was so truthy. I could tell even before I listened. All right. Or just put any comment you'd like. But I just want you to know that I really appreciate the support. I really appreciate you following along and doing that for me, hitting the subscribe button, hitting the like button, hitting the notification bell, whether it's on YouTube, Odyssey, Rumble, all of those, by the way, in the description section below. All of the social media platforms we're on Gab, we're on Parler, right? We're trying some other different platforms. Just check the description section below. You'll know where to follow along. And of course, the newsletter will give you every Sunday, Monday, Tuesday-ish. It'll give you the update of all of the previous week's podcasts and articles that came out. Trust me, we're building a better system. But in the meantime, we have a kind of an underground railroad to get kind of around the censorship. So if everything goes down, you'll still know where to find us if you are subscribed to the newsletter. So go into the description section below. Please do that for me. All right, guys. And as always, if you love what we do, or if you find yourself loving what we do more and more as you're listening to the show, go into the description section below and hit the support us, the donate tab. There's a little link down there. It'll take you, or you can go right to the website, www.americanreveille.com. There's a support us tab there, and you can donate to the company. We put everything right into the American Reveille. Nothing goes in my pocket. Swear to you, nothing goes in my pocket. It goes right back into improving our operation so more and more patriots can become enlightened, become empowered, become awakened with the truth. All right, guys, and let's go. Who is Duante Wright, the 20-year-old black man killed in officer-involved shooting in Minnesota? Katie Wright said her son called her as he was supposedly getting pulled over for having air fresheners hanging in his rearview mirror. In Minnesota, it is illegal to have anything hanging in your rearview mirror, like anything obstructing the windshield, basically, is reason to be pulled over. It's probable cause in Minnesota. And when they looked up who this guy was, they found out he had a warrant anyway. So, I mean, it's one of those things. The left likes to twist it. Oh, guy got killed over air fresheners, but that isn't the case. Let's keep reading. All right. This is by Bradford Betts. It's from Fox News. We can see the picture here. This is a video of the arrest, but that's been played again and again and again on podcast after podcast. That's really not the point of the story we're trying to get across here. I'm just trying to give you the kind of the overview and the opinions and kind of the facts after that. But I'm not trying to make 9 hours out of this guy getting killed. What I'm trying to talk about really is what happened after he got killed. All right, let's read. Duante Wright was a 20-year-old black man fatally shot by a female police officer during a traffic stop in Minneapolis suburbs Sunday afternoon. Brooklyn Center Police Chief Tim Gannon on Monday described the shooting as an accidental discharge. He said the officer responsible intended to fire a taser, not a handgun. Body camera footage of the fatal encounter shows 3 officers around a stopped car when another officer attempts to handcuff Wright. A struggle ensues. See, even Fox, they use this picture. Oh, he's a nice family guy. Here he is with his kid. Again, I'm not justifying his death, but he was a criminal, and let's not forget that. Taser, 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 one of the officers is heard shouting. Another officer fires a single shot from her handgun. The car speeds away, and the officer is heard saying, "Holy beep, I shot him." Well, that isn't, if that's not like the sign that something was an accident, I don't know what is, right? BLM, the left, all of the crooked politicians that want to benefit from this, all of the rich and getting richer leaders of these movements, these so-called movements out there, they all want this. They all want the riots and the burning and the death. They all want this to be intentional. They want it to be racist. They want it to be so bad that they're willing to lie about it, to push forward their narrative, because if you say it enough times, it becomes reality, right? But somebody yelling taser as the warning, which is probably in their training, firing the handgun, which she thought was a taser, and then in shock saying, holy beep, I shot him. That sounds like an accident. Now, just because it's an accident, does that mean that she isn't guilty? No, that sounds like criminal involuntary manslaughter. That sounds like jail time. I'm sure. All right, there will be charges. And in this case, she should be charged. All right, for something, definitely. All right. But on the same token, you shouldn't have warrants out for your arrest. And when you have warrants out for your arrest, and you're being arrested because you have warrants out for your arrest, you shouldn't struggle, fight off the cops, and then dive in your car. You know, the place where cops are trained to think you may have a loaded weapon or a knife or some sort of thing that they can't see that's concealed that you can pop out with and hurt them because you're in fear, you're running, you're a cornered, caged animal, and you're unpredictable. And when your history is violent or has to do with weapons, has to do with robbery, has to do with blatant disregard for the law, police are trained to approach situations in a certain manner. Now, with that said, again, the cop, now resigned, there's no excuse for pulling your handgun instead of your taser. Sorry, not sorry. That's criminal negligence, in my opinion. Authorities said the car was pulled over for having an expired registration, and after determining the driver had an outstanding warrant, police said they tried to arrest him. The driver then re-entered the vehicle, and an officer fired, striking him, police said. The vehicle traveled several blocks before striking another vehicle. A female passenger sustained non-life-threatening injuries during the crash, authorities said. Duante's mother, Katie Wright, said the passenger was her son's girlfriend. So who was Duante Wright? All right. This goes to show, all right, even when it's Fox or anything, when you're just reporting the facts, right, it doesn't sound good, right? It doesn't sound good for the left's narrative, all right? The plain Jane facts are that the cops said the car was pulled over for tags, whether it's tags or whether it's hanging air fresheners, whatever it is, expired registration. After determining the driver had an outstanding warrant, right? So they pulled him over. They looked him up. You have a warrant. You have to be brought in. That's the law. That's how it works. I don't see what's different about this than anything else. The driver then struggled, all right, jumped into the car where there could be a weapon. You never know. Cops aren't psychics. Then the cops shot him, plain and simple. He fled after being shot. The cops, in shock, didn't know what to do. Oh my God, I shot him. All right, evidence that it was an accident. Not excluding her from guilt, but evidence that it was an accident, a lesser crime. It wasn't some racist intention to kill a black man out of bloodthirsty critical race theory. I don't know. I don't know how else to describe what they think, like we're werewolves or something on the right. But this is the meat of it. That's just what happened, plain and simple. And when you read something like that, it's obvious to see. All right. And it is what it looks like. It's a plain and clear-cut case that somebody who shouldn't have resisted arrest, and a police officer made a tragic mistake that'll cost them probably some time off their life in jail. All right. Both people are wrong here. The cop is wrong. The former cop at this point. And Duante is wrong. Should Duante have lost his life? No. But at the same time, to claim that this is some racist, systemic, white, racist, evil problem and have Obama come out to reimagine policing and kids come and burn down cities, it's not justified. Not justified at all. Again, so who was Duante Wright? Court records show Wright was being sought after failing to appear in court on charges that he fled from officers and possessed a gun without permit during an encounter with police in June. Okay, so the police are approaching this already knowing this, knowing that he could have a gun. He's resisted arrest before and had a concealed weapon that nobody knew about when he resisted arrest last time. So the cops already are proceeding with caution. Right? They're already proceeding with caution. In that case, a statement of probable cause said police got a call about a man waving a gun who was later identified as Wright. All right, look at this. There's a picture here. All these young people. That's something you need to notice about this. There aren't many old people. All right. It's all young folks in their early 20s, 19, 18. That girl's got to be what? She's 16. I mean, they're very young. It's a diverse crowd, too. When you start, there's white kids everywhere, black kids, but you don't see many, if any, folks older than 25, 24. It makes you wonder about certain things. It really does make you wonder who is what, who is being controlled by who wants what, who should we be listening to, right? It really makes you think. Katie Wright said her son called her as he was supposedly getting pulled over for having air fresheners hanging in his rear view mirror, an offense in Minnesota. All he did was have air fresheners in the car, and they told him to get out of the car, Wright said. During the call, she said she heard scuffling and then someone saying, "Duante, don't run," before the call ended. That was really good advice. When she called back, her son's girlfriend answered and said he'd been shot. Shortly after the shooting, Demonstrators began to gather, with some jumping atop police cars. Marchers also descended on the Brooklyn Center Police Department, where rocks and other objects were thrown at officers, authorities said. So, all right, right after the shooting, like right after it happened, word spread, and mobs started showing up, all right, and attacking police, throwing rocks and all kinds of objects and debris at police officers, right? People have to pay for the mistake of one dumb former police officer and for the mistake of one dumb former alive criminal, regardless of their race, regardless of what you believe the statistics are what the statistics are. If you don't believe me, look them up. Go look up the statistics for how many black people are killed by cops every year, unarmed, how many white people are as well, and all of that stuff. Go look it up, and you'll find out an amazing truth, and you'll find out that you've been being lied to by the left all along. So I'm not saying one way or another. I'm not going to get kicked off of platforms for anything, because all I'm telling you to do is go to DuckDuckGo or wherever you search for things and look it up. Shortly after the shooting, demonstrators began to gather, with some jumping atop police cars. Marchers also descended on the Brooklyn Center Police Department, where rocks and other objects were thrown at officers, authorities said. Wright's father, Aubrey, told the Washington Post that his son had just asked his mom for $50 for a car wash and was headed there when he was shot. She said, "I know my son. He was scared. He still had the mind of a 17-year-old because we babied him," Wright told the outlet. "If he was resisting an arrest, you could tase him. I don't understand it." You babied him? This is a hardened criminal. Trust me, guys. I'm going to show you the facts in the next article we go after this. I'm going to show you the facts. I'm going to show you all of the stuff that debunks what any of the news outlets said that was positive about this guy. Now, I understand the mom is heartbroken. It's terrible, but she has to understand that her kid did bad things to people. All right. Anybody is going to love their child. I get it. I'm a father. It's hard, right? It's real hard. But at the same time, your kid was running around with guns, obviously doing gang stuff, selling drugs or something, waving cash around, stealing things. There's a whole list. There's a whole list that we'll talk about. But he's not this sweetheart that people think of. And you know what? Then if you're blaming yourself, maybe you should be held accountable for what he did. If he was resisting arrest, it's because we babied him or whatever. Maybe you, as a parent, should go to jail for him since he's not alive, right? For doing what he did, for causing this. If he didn't resist arrest, none of this would have happened. He didn't get arrested for air fresheners. He got arrested for freaking the previous charge that he never went to court for, or skip bail or whatever it was for, that had to do with him having a gun and resisting arrest previously. It was something like that, an armed burglary, some kind of whole thing. We'll get into it in a second. But it isn't good. All right, again, should he have been shot? No. All right, but the cop made a mistake. It wasn't intentional, but the cop will be held accountable. Cops already resigned. Chiefs already resigned. All right. But through due process, it's obvious that this is criminal negligence and possibly involuntary manslaughter. Involuntary manslaughter. It really is clear cut. It was a real dumb accident that never should have happened. At the same time, Duante, you're really stupid for what you did too. And anybody that doesn't think that is an idiot, I'm sorry. All right, I'm sorry. That's the truth. All right. So Aubrey said Duante had a 2-year-old son and dropped out of high school 2 years ago because of a learning disability. Duante has since worked in retail and fast food restaurants to support his son and planned to get a GED, Aubrey told the Post. That's what she told you, or that's what he told you. All right. Criminals, they lie. All right. They lie. You never looked at his Facebook? He was a great kid, Aubrey Wright said. He was a normal kid. He was never in serious trouble. He enjoyed spending time with his 2-year-old son. He loved his son. She remembers her kid like his 8-year-old boy. All right. You might have empowered him, all right, to do this bad stuff without even realizing it. Maybe you should have whooped him more. I don't know. And I'm sorry that things turned out this way. But sorry, Aubrey Wright. Your son wasn't a good person. He was not a good person. Just because you procreate and make a baby doesn't mean that baby makes you a saint. All right. If anything, I feel bad for his 2-year-old son. Now he has to grow up without a father, but which would have been better? You have to ask yourself, is it better now that he doesn't have his dad? Would his dad have cleaned up his life, or would his dad done more stuff, done worse stuff, gone to prison, and inspired his kid to live a life of gangsterness? I guess that's the word I'll use today, gangsterness. I mean, I feel bad for this kid. Who knows psychologically what's going to happen, but he's probably messed up now. All because his pops, right, resisted arrest. And you know what? The charge probably, it wasn't like a murder charge. He probably would have gone to jail for like a year or two. He could have just done his sentence and cleaned up his life, right? Don't they have programs in prison now? So he could have gotten his GED there. He would have had plenty of time to think. Oh, but he's probably gangbanging. So who knows? We'll find out in a second. Anybody who loves their son wouldn't have done what they did. Plain and simple. Court records indicate Duante has had some previous brushes with the law. He was arrested in February on a charge of aggravated robbery, but later released from custody. In February 2020, Duante was also convicted of a petty misdemeanor for disorderly conduct in connection with an event the prior summer. And in late 2019, he pleaded guilty to a petty misdemeanor for possession and sale of a small amount of marijuana. So there's still, right? He's got a pattern. He's going and going. He's not like cleaning up his life. His mom's like, oh, he was getting his GED and he's doing good. And when are you going to have time to do your GED when you're in trouble for all these crimes? That's multiple court appearances, multiple charges, all kinds of different dates. He's not learning his lessons, ladies and gentlemen. Wright's death comes as the area was already on edge because of the trial of the first of 4 police officers charged in George Floyd's death. The trial of Derek Chauvin, the former Minneapolis officer charged in Floyd's death, continued Monday. Floyd, a black man, died May 25th after Chauvin, who's white, pressed his knee against Floyd's neck. Prosecutors say Floyd was pinned for 9 minutes and 29 seconds. The judge, I don't know how I confuse judge and result, but hey, the judge in that case refused Monday to sequester the jury after a defense attorney argued that the panel could be influenced by the prospect of what might happen as a result of their verdict, which is kind of silly. Speaking before Sunday night's unrest in Brooklyn Center, a city of about 30,000 people on the northwest border of Minneapolis, Wright's mother, Katie Wright, urged protesters to stay peaceful and focus on the loss of her son. Quote, and I'll give her credit for this, all the violence, if it keeps going, it's only going to be about the violence. We need it to be about why my son got shot for no reason, she said to a crowd near the shooting scene. We need to make sure it's about him and not about smashing police cars, because that's not going to bring my son back. That's true. I'll thank you for stating that, and I wish people would listen to you. All right, but that's the truth. All right, look, to a mother, your kid's always going to be precious, right? It's sad for her. I feel bad for her as a mother, right? Do I feel bad technically for Duante as a human because of the type of person he was, and because he kind of he kind of lived that type of lifestyle? You have to admit it, right? If it wasn't the police, wouldn't it have been another gang member, some kind of person like that in the criminal world? He wasn't slowing down. He was doing more crimes, right? So I feel bad for her as a mom. losing a kid. But I don't feel bad for his loss of life just as a human on this planet. That I mean, people like him endanger my children, endanger our livelihoods. People die. Listen, he's doing his gangbanger stuff, shoot out in the street or whatever with those unregistered guns he has, right? And the crossfire takes out an innocent baby. An innocent kid dies that had nothing to do with it. I mean, those things happen all the time. Look at Chicago. Look at Chicago. So, I mean, this guy kind of invited this horrible stuff onto him. Now, at the same time, the cop, dumb as a box of rocks. I don't care what the situation was. That's criminal negligence. All right. I don't care if you made a mistake. That was a fatal accident. And those fatal accidents are permanent. And you should pay for that. All right. You should get your due process for that. But that doesn't always work. And you'll find out what happens when you call for due process later in this podcast. But I wanted to go over this. I wanted to kind of recap this, give you my commentary on it, so you knew what happened with Duante. Right. And again, I'm not going to play the video and play the audio. Right. It's not very impressive or anything. Again, we explained it. Right. They try to arrest him. He struggles and runs. She pulls it. Taser, taser, taser. Kaboom. Oh, crap. Drives off. Game over. It's unfortunate, but it happened. All right. Both parties are guilty of something, and the living party should be held accountable, and I'm sure will be held accountable. But there's a narrative. There's a story the left is telling. Obama, all the Marxist BLM people, all of these different folks that benefit from this kind of chaos, and all of the influencers on the left and everybody else that pushes the narrative in the mainstream media, pushing what a wonderful, wonderful, amazing, beautiful soul Duante Wright was. And we have an article here. All right, an article here on AmericaFirst.com that goes through all of the little truthisms that debunk all of the fake crap that they've put out to anoint another criminal as a saint. All right, is the death justified? Again, no. It is not. But is it a result of evil hate and systemic racism? No. Was it intentional? Don't look like it. Will there be charges? Will there be charges? Yeah, most likely. Should there be a due process? And will they most likely find this officer guilty of at least criminal negligence, most likely involuntary manslaughter? Probably. Probably, because a police officer has no excuse for that. There are other cops that watched this video and cringed. Oh my God, how could you make such a mistake? How could you not take your responsibility for life and death serious? That's the truth. Whether you're white, black, purple, green, or space alien pumpkin seed that came alive after being hit with gamma rays, I don't know. Whatever it is, we can all agree. We can all agree that that's the truth. All right, but let's find out. Let's find out what the facts are, what the real facts are. First of all, we showed you a different picture in the first article here. You see this picture of Duante holding his son's face obviously censored for privacy reasons. You don't want to expose children in things like this, God forbid. But this picture is much nicer than these pictures. Man, that's a lot of money. You know, I'm a 36-year-old man. I've got 3 college degrees, working on my 4th. I busted my butt my whole life. I don't have that kind of money. My hands are super calloused. I don't have that kind of money. I'm not pointing my gun at the camera and flashing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and 20s and 20s and 20s. No, I'm not. But he is. Where's he getting it? Where is he getting it? Let's find out. Not just where he's getting it, but what the real truth is. All right. So this national conservative BLM narrative on Duante Wright is easily debunked. All right. Does BLM even care if their narratives have any truth? And I'm going to answer that. The answer is no. They know that if they just say it again and again and again, most people won't check. All right. And most of the people on their side are brainwashed anyway. They believe whatever they hear. They believe whatever they hear. They just go with the narrative. all right? They go with the narrative. Every single person on the right has replaced Donald Trump in the eyes of the hate and the scope of that hate in the crosshairs as a target of the left. All right, guys. So BLM narrative on Duante Wright easily debunked. Let's start reading. There are new race riots in Minnesota. Several stores have been looted as the BLM movement hypes wildly false claims about the police shooting of Duante Wright in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota. Brooklyn Center is a municipality bordering the north side of Minneapolis. It's 38.3% white, 29% black, 16.3% Asian, 13.5% Latino, according to the 2019 U.S. Census estimate. According to Road Snack, Brooklyn Center has the highest percentage of black residents of any city in Minnesota. All right. So that kind of paints a picture. All right. It's a predominantly African-American area compared to everywhere else in the whole state of Minnesota. All right. And this is what is being pushed by BLM activists. The same BLM folks, BLM ran by the same people that buy in predominantly white neighborhoods while preaching that white people are evil. Marxists that line their pockets and make themselves rich with millions and millions of dollars while pretending to help people and manipulating the English language to lie to people and steal their money. Some horrible stuff, but that's kind of what BLM does. According to BLM activists, a Brooklyn Center police officer pulled over Duante Wright for no reason. Again, debunked. Duante Wright, expired tags. I'm not even going to go back. I could keep talking and talking, but they're going to actually tell you what happened in the ones below. We'll comment more on those because I think I'll ruin it if I just read these and comment on all this. I'll predict half of this stuff. So let's read. According to the BLM activists, a Brooklyn Center police officer pulled over Duante Wright for no reason. Wright called his mother to tell her that he was being pulled over. Officers ordered him to get out of the car for no reason, saying that his air fresheners were illegal. Then officers murdered him in cold blood. That is the narrative according to Black Lives Matters. All right? The cops pulled him over. All right? He called his mom because he was scared. All right? They said, get out of your car. Your air fresheners suck. He didn't know what to do, and the cops shot him because he's black. That's what BLM thinks, and that's what they're pushing. It's not the truth, but that is what they're pushing. Now, this is what actually did happen. All right. 1, on April 2nd, a warrant was issued for the arrest of Duante Wright after he skipped his court date. All right. This is more detailed and much more to the point than the first article we read. All right. So 2, Wright was wanted for a misdemeanor gun crime and for misdemeanor fleeing from a police officer. That means that he was being arrested for a gun crime and ran away. And he was wanted for that. There was a warrant out for his arrest. All right. Like a wanted poster from back in the day. Right. Wright has a Facebook page packed with thug culture pictures and videos where he depicts himself as a gang member and a drug dealer. Wright is pulled by the police while driving his mother's car. His girlfriend is in the passenger seat. The exact reason for the stop had not yet been disclosed. Number 5, Wright calls his mother, most likely because he has a warrant and knows he's going to be arrested, and she owns the car. Right. So, he's got to tell them that. Officer orders him to hang up the phone and get out of the car. 7, the officer attempts to handcuff Wright. 8, Wright fights him off, jumps back in and hits the gas. 9, Wright is shot by a single bullet as the officer yells, "Taser, taser, taser," apparently believing he or she was holding his taser instead of the gun. 10, Wright wrecks the car and dies at the scene. 11, Wright's mother feeds activists a narrative that her son was killed over air fresheners. 12, you see where this is going? Wright's mother concedes to the media that Wright got back in his car, tried to flee, and wrecked his car. 13, activists, some of whom are supposed to be journalists, run with completely fake claims to whip the public into a frenzy. 14, the media runs an old photo of a baby-faced teenage Wright holding a baby while refusing to show any recent pictures. 15, violent rioting ensues as left-wing activists hype fake stories on social media. 16, the state of Minnesota deploys the National Guard to stop the rioting. So while activists lionize and infantilize Duante, the reality is that he was behaving with dangerous recklessness and that put the lives of his girlfriend, the police, and the public, and even himself in danger. Duante Wright's mother tells reporters that her son defied officers, got back in his car, and tried to flee. All right. I want you to watch this. I want you to see how they portrayed this person. And it's obvious because this is the family, right? So the family is going to be sad. They know him differently than anyone else. And everybody, look, a serial killer's mother loves his her son, right? Or her daughter. It could be a girl serial killer. Who knows? So here, take a listen to this real quick.
My son was 20 years old. He got pulled over for having air fresheners in the car that I just gave him.
2 weeks ago.
All he did was have air fresheners in the car and they told him to get out of the car. He got out of the car and his girlfriend said they shot him. He got back in the car and he drove away and crashed. And now he's dead on the ground since 1:47. Nobody will tell us anything. Nobody will talk to us.
Y'all gotta talk to her now.
The BCA just says that they are investigating it.
Look at
I
the
asked them to
cowards.
please take my son off the ground. He's been there since 1:47 this
They
afternoon.
left my son on the ground for 8 hours in his house. They couldn't even
what
donate
time
his
is it
organs.
now?
They're not gonna
It's
give you
6
no
o'clock.
information because they don't tell the fucking truth. Tell his mother what y'all did. Hey, talk to the mother. Tell his mother what y'all done. Y'all didn't tell her.
See, it's a family and it's becoming a scene. So she goes, they won't tell us. So if they don't tell you anything, then how do you know it's because of air fresheners? You're assuming, right? The family's in shock. The family's upset. But again, I mean, how in shock, how surprised can you be when the kid's running around doing the gangbang and stuff that he's doing? I don't know what else to say about that. I feel bad for the family, but at the same time, you know, I mean, he was bringing this type of stuff onto him. I'm not saying he necessarily completely brought everything onto him, because if the officer didn't screw up, he would have gotten tased and hopefully this would have all been over. But that didn't happen. The officer screwed up and the officer should be held accountable for that. But he was living the gangster lifestyle, and gangster things happen when people live the gangster lifestyle, and not all gangster things are good things, ladies and gentlemen. That's a t-shirt right there. Not all gangster things are good things. Folks, she BS'd. They left him on the ground. That's called investigation. They have to do evidence, right? They have to find out what happened. If they're gonna, these people want witch hunts. Folks want trials, full on classic Salem witch trials, right? Just hunting people down, no due process, burn them at the stake. That's what people want. That's why Rashida Tlaib is trying to get rid of all of the police now. Oh, they all must go. No more police, no more military, no more prisons. Sure, go ahead. See what happens. Because the cops are the only thing that's stopping folks from putting a stop to everything. All right? So don't get rid of the police. That's probably a very big mistake, Rashida Tlaib. But back to Duante Wright's mother. I understand you're in shock. I'm sorry for your loss, but your son was a criminal doing criminal things, okay? And the cop was a dumb cop that screwed up. Cops should be held accountable. But at the same time, it wasn't this whole systemic racism. Your son got killed just for being a black kid. That's not what happened. That makes no sense whatsoever. All right. Nina Mahoney, a reporter for taxpayer-supported Minnesota Public Radio, was among those spreading incendiary fake claims about the shooting. She said family members say 20-year-old Duante Wright was killed by police officers in Brooklyn Center this afternoon after being pulled over for displaying an air freshener in his rearview mirror. So that was a lie. All right. And then Andy No started getting involved because the looters came out. All right. Look, I want you to watch some of this. All right, this is from Andy No the other night. A group of women sing and dance outside of stores that were looted by BLM rioters in Brooklyn Center. And don't worry, we're going to show you more proof of the rioting. That is coming, I promise. Check this out. Yeah, that's solving this. I don't know what that has to do with. I think they're happy that they got free stuff from Foot Locker and the cops won't come near them. That's nice. That's very nice. Oh, Democrats buying votes. BLM looters break inside and steal from an O'Reilly's store overnight in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota. Auto stores were infamously looted and burnt to the ground last year in Minneapolis, right? That happened after the George Floyd death. Now it happened again. All right. See, here's the whole thing. Again, like Rashida Tlaib said, get rid of the police. They just want it all gone. They want Mad Max. They want a war zone. Right? They want a war zone so that hopefully they can redefine this country as a socialist hellhole. That's the main plan from the people upstairs. The foot soldiers at the bottom are just dumb, manipulated pawns in this dumb game. That's why they're all kids. That's why they're all kids. Rational adults don't do this type of stuff. Take a look. Oh, O'Reilly's. Yep. Because Rain-X windshield wipers have to do with Duante Wright. They don't seem. Oh, they're laughing in shock because they're sad. They're so sad about Duante. Their laughs and their thievery out of grief are heartbreaking. Absolutely heartbreaking. So heartbreaking that I just, I mean, they even remembered to bring ski masks. Anyway, and I'm saying that because it's true, because it's not just COVID masks. That's some BS right there. That's some BS right there. This is somebody else on Twitter here. Thugs stuck together, apparently. BLM and Democrats. Democrats like Ad Levinsky, Kim Hyatt, who are these people, are lifting Duante Wright up as some innocent law-abiding citizen. AOC, Ilhan Omar, all those folks. And he's not. Meet Duante Wright. It says, teach your damn kids better. And they're directing that at BLM. All right, we're going to watch a video of Duante Wright. This is Duante Wright. Oh, that's nice. Okay. So he's in his car, smoking weed, which I have nothing against people smoking weed. But this guy's sitting in the car, it looks like, or wherever he is, smoking weed, singing a rap song, and pointing his gun, trying to be a hard ass, dancing with it, go, oh, yeah, doing that whole thing. Shaking the gun with the beat, pointing the barrel at the camera, trying to be a tough guy, trying to be a hard ass. Again, when you do gangster stuff, all right, sometimes gangster stuff happens to you. And not all gangster stuff is good. All right. Not all gangster stuff is good. So what happens when you say that people are going to get due process? Because this is a clear-cut case, right? The chief came out and he said, hey, this looks like an accident. The video came out. The video says, hey, it looks like an accident. We all watch the video and the video makes us say, hey, it looks like an accident. All right. And then when the city council hears, all right, that certain folks are getting fired. All right, that not certain folks are getting fired, but that the city manager is calling for due process. Oh, for those, by the way, that saw me skip a beat there, that's because the website I was looking at wasn't loading properly and it jambled me up. I'm like thinking one thought in my head, like, oh, is this loading properly while I'm trying to talk? And now I'm saying words backwards. That's how that works, ladies and gentlemen. All right. That's why you got to just keep doing this again and again and again and again and again and again, because you train your brain. You get better and better and better. And eventually that stuff doesn't happen. All right. So we're going to get back to this. What I'm saying, all right, is that the city council found out that the city manager, all right, called for due process, that he said that the cops should be fairly tried, all right, that they should go through the rules and regulations and do what they had to do, all right, to go by the law, right, so that it was fair for everybody. Nope. Lynch mob style. That's what they want. So the city council, in fear, this is out of fear. This isn't because they're woke. They're not woke. They're scared. All right. So in fear, they fired the city manager just because he called for due process. All right. So we're going to get back into the riot stuff in a second, but I wanted to put this article in here because it shows the pressure, right? I just showed you in the last article the narrative on Duante Wright and how it was BS. I just showed you what the mob is doing, some of the looting, and I'll show you more. All right. There was a day one and a day two. And the pressure from that mob is getting people fired. All right. Look, the cop that did this resigned, right? The police chief that said that it looked like an accident had to resign. That already happened. Now the city manager got fired, and it's because they're scared. Brooklyn Center city manager Kurt Bogany, whatever, was fired on Monday after he said the police officer who shot Duante Wright deserved due process. A police officer shot and killed 20-year-old Duante Wright on Sunday night during a traffic stop. Brooklyn Center Police Chief Tim Gannon called the shooting of Duante Wright an accidental discharge. Quote, "It is my belief that the officer had the intention to employ their taser, but instead shot Mr. Wright with a single bullet." Most of us have seen that video. It looks like what he's saying is absolutely true. Bogany was fired by the Brooklyn City Council for daring to say that the officer deserves due process. Quote, "Duante Wright did not get due process in that situation. She needs to be fired immediately," an angry presser attendee said to Kurt Bogany. Let's see. We can watch this too. After Brooklyn Center, Minnesota, city manager Kurt Bogany says officer who shot Duante Wright will get due process. Presser attendee tells him Duante Wright did not get due process. Let's listen.
Racial profiling that happened in this situation. We are standing in solidarity and calling for the firing of this officer. You have talked about her having due process, although Duante Wright did not get due process in that situation. She needs to be fired immediately to send a message that this type of behavior will not be condoned within the city of Brooklyn Center.
That's not how that works. There's no tit for tat. You don't do this for that. It's just not how it works, right? You don't lynch something. It's not the Wild West. You don't send a lynch mob out, right? And burn down the system to send a message. That's not how this works. It needs to be investigated, and it needs to be done correctly through due process, plain and simple. All right. But they don't accept it. That's supposed to be a press person, like a reporter. They're not asking questions. They're making demands, ladies and gentlemen. That's very different. Nobody's seeing this. I'm the only one seeing them making demands. Mayor Elliott announced Bogany was fired. Effective immediately, our city manager has been relieved of his duties, and the deputy city manager will be assuming his duties moving forward. I will continue to work my hardest to ensure good leadership at all levels of our government. So he cleansed the system and got rid of the man who was doing the fair, balanced thing, doing the righteous thing, keeping Lady Liberty blind. Ladies and gentlemen, Lady Justice blind. It needs to be that way. You need to look at the facts, and the facts are pretty obvious that there's some criminal negligence and possibly even involuntary manslaughter on the part of the police officer. But we don't just go out and crucify people. All right. We are a civilized society. At least I thought until 2020 hit. One city council member said that she voted to fire Bogany because she's scared. She feared the mob would hunt her down and destroy her property. The Minnesota Star Tribune reported at a virtual council workshop, council member Chris Lawrence Anderson said she voted to remove the city manager because she feared her property and retaliation by protesters if she had voted to keep him. Quote, "He was doing a great job. I respect him dearly. I didn't want repercussions, though, at a personal level." Isn't proof of something? Think about that, folks. Doesn't that say something? Shouldn't the FBI be investigating that? Shouldn't something on a national level be happening to look into that when a city council member is saying they only made these decisions because they're scared of a mob? So why isn't the government doing anything about the mob? Is it because the mob works for the government? Who knows? Who knows? But all I can say is that the leaders of these groups, these BLM groups, these Antifa groups, they are all getting richer and richer and richer and richer, just like dirty politicians do, just like dirty executives, dirty woke executives do. They're all rolling around in the sweet, sexy blood money, the woke blood money, all right? That's coming off of the backs of Uyghur slaves, that's coming off of the backs of intrusion in the Ukraine, of Iran atrocities, that's coming off the back of basically administrations of Democrats, generations of administrations of Democrats, basically sucking the system dry, taking advantage of our Constitution, berating, belittling our system, and systematically poisoning and destroying it for the last 50, 60, 70. I mean, we can go back. But that's what's happening. And we're now at a point where it's so populist, so partisan, that depending on what party's in, it will depend how the laws are even enforced. All right? We have city council members firing people, destroying their careers and lives to save their own skin because they're terrified that a mob of people will come burn their property down and even kill them. That doesn't sound like free to me. That doesn't sound like America to me. And all the while, people say there's no riots. Nothing's happening. Nothing's happening at all. All right. And for a second, real quick, for those that are watching and those listening, all right, who know why I'm doing this. All right. Look at this picture real quick. Come on. I look just like that, right? I'm going to do one more by the end of this. I really am. I did in the beginning too. I'm just trying to do something silly, see if it makes anything happen, makes anybody say anything. But let's get back to this. Look, these riots exist. These riots totally exist. All right. Look at this. We can just keep going down the list. All right. This is the scene an hour after the curfew began. Let's watch this video. They got drums. People are gathering, yelling, "Don't shoot." Oh, look, there's just a bunch of young people, white people. They're all well dressed. These are not, what is this? Are they having like a street party? That's what this looks like, right? All like college kids at like a street festival with drums. You don't see a bunch of adults there. You see a bunch of children, probably middle-class white children with a couple ethnicities mixed in. But these are BLM and Antifa people. These are brainwashed youth. All right. These aren't like 40-year-olds marching. Right. These are kids. All right. And I'm sorry, but the kids of this generation, they don't know shit. More of it. There's the police line. Right. Still nothing too exciting. People just gathering. Right. And it goes on. It goes on. They're trying to tell people to disperse. It's a lot of people. It goes all the way down. They're all wearing black. Most of them have face coverings and masks. They're leftist militants. We can keep looking. The crowd is still not leaving, despite the order. This is the events from the other day. There are people telling you there were no riots. People telling you people didn't gather. It wasn't too crazy. It's being downplayed. But here it is. There's the crowd. More dispersal orders. It's getting darker. People don't care. These people are there to cause mayhem, to cause a ruckus, to cause violence. Are they fed up? Do they even know what they're fed up about? This looks like they're setting things on fire. They're starting to get visibly more unruly. People are starting to throw things. There's obvious commotion in the crowd. They're being warned to disperse. They're in violation of curfew. People are getting more and more angry and unruly. People are starting to tear things apart. People are starting to seethe and writhe and get more agitated, ladies and gentlemen. And they don't even know why. They don't even know why. That's the sick part of this, the big, massive brainwashing of this. They don't know why. They're being lied to by people. People like Obama, who doesn't even know what's happening. He doesn't even know what's happening. All right. These rich people, these reporters that have a ton of money, these wealthy aristocrats, these politicians on the left and even some on the right, people that make a certain amount of money, they're very detached from this. They don't know what's actually happening. If you're a dumb young kid being brainwashed or somebody making a couple $100K a year plus, couple million a year, you're completely detached from this. Like, you're living in a world where this doesn't affect you whatsoever at that point. All right. So you don't know. You don't know. You think these people are doing some righteous thing, and it's sick because you're out of your mind. All right. It's become a festival for likes and virtue signal. That's really what this has all become. Some sick competition of who could get the most attention for being the most self-proclaimed virtuous and righteous person. It really is sick. Let's look, people start getting more agitated. They're throwing stuff. Right? Look at this. Drums, people throwing things. You can see some water bottles flying. Do you hear the shrieking? That's like the leftist call. It's like their attack call. Freaking, they're out of their minds. They're like banshees. All right, let's keep looking to the front. Speed this up a little. Oh, still building up, and then things start to accelerate. Boom. Get out of here. Disperse. That's what tear gas sounds like, ladies and gentlemen. I love the smell of tear gas in the morning. So they're trying to get the crowd to disperse. Shooting non-lethal rounds. Shooting tear gas. Look at that. Boom. Things are starting to get real. All right, let's keep going. And then people, right, while this is going on, people are going to stores and busting stuff up. More looting. Check this out. I showed you Andy Knows videos, but this is somebody named Sophia Narwitz. Sophia Checkmark Killa Narwitz. It's like an independent journalist. This is the Dollar Tree. They're all raiding the Dollar Tree. Everybody's, and they're not even scared. They're just nonchalantly walking around, stealing stuff in the Dollar Tree. All the windows smashed. Garbage everywhere, ladies and gentlemen. Garbage everywhere. And oh, what is this? Which store is this? Is this? Oh, it's Boost Mobile. It's not even T-Mobile. It's not an Apple store. It's Boost. What are you stealing in Boost Mobile? Anyway, more tear gas. I mean, these people are breaking stuff. They're blowing stuff. And here's the whole thing. All right. You have to understand the case. All right. It's going to wrap up like Monday or Tuesday, this upcoming Monday or Tuesday. And depending on whatever the verdict is, they're going to go nuts. They're going to go absolutely bat-s crazy. All right. Regardless of what happens. All right, it's going to go down, and it's happening across the country already in New York, in Portland, all right, Seattle, Chicago. Cities are going nuts. People are already starting to riot. They're already starting to march. They're already starting to get crazy, ladies and gentlemen. They're already starting to get crazy. All right. And it's going to pop off. It is, regardless of what the verdict is. So this is just a free preview. But the left, they think these people are their friends, right? That's what I'm getting at. This whole thing, Duante Wright, he's just an excuse. He's just an excuse to loot and riot and cause mayhem. He's just an excuse to push the left-wing agenda. All right. The complete left-wing agenda to get rid of the cops. All right. To reimagine the cops. Trust me, Obama talks about it. We'll get into it. We will. All right. But I want to show you what happens when news anchors, when out of touch rich people, when people think that they're on the same side with these folks. All right. They're not your friends. BLM and Antifa, they are militant. They are radicals. They are there to F stuff up. All right. And I think it's very important that you know that you see the stuff. I'm not going to read this whole article. This is a Breitbart article. It says, watch NBC's Ron Allen shoved and cursed by Minnesota protesters. I'm not going to read this whole thing to you. It's just kind of outlining what it is. But you should take a look. You should take a look what happens to him. Check this out.
Started firing tear gas. The crowd is now dispersing, but they're not going home, Rachel. They're still here in the streets.
So he's just a reporter. Watch.
They're still here.
Look at these young kids.
Easy. Come on, easy. What happened? Tell me what happened.
This is the same area for those watching. You saw those videos of the protests I was just showing before. They're standing in the same area where all that film came from. All right. And these kids you're going to see, they make up the bulk of the people protesting. They are young. They are angry. All right. And they want to tear it all down. Or they don't care if you're on the left. They don't care if you're on the right. They don't care if you're Don Lemon. They don't care if you're Ron Allen. They don't care if you're Joe Rogan. Get out of their way or else.
What happened? Tell me what happened.
And the police are now firing on homes that are just across the street that have nothing
That's a
to do
lie.
with nothing. I'm gonna go, but report on
Now, these people have anger problems.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Hey. Okay. Take it easy, please. Please.
Don't you love those people that are so passionate, so frustrated, so angry for the problems of other people? Their lives are so insignificant and so out of touch and so empty that they have to be concerned for everybody else. You want police gone. You want this gone. You want that gone. You think it's going to be some magical world. But bitch, you don't know your history. You don't know what happens when you get rid of the police. But we do.
Okay. All right. Take it easy. Okay. All right, folks. Easy. Okay. We want to tell the world what's going on out here. Okay. We know everybody's angry. Okay. Please.
So they're yelling at each other. They're kids. It's literally, imagine little babies having tantrums, and this is the adult trying to moderate them. By the way, good job there with your whole mask thing, leftist hypocrite. I don't care about masks. I'm just pointing it out because they all preach about it all the time. But he's literally he's like, speak one at a time. They can't even speak one at a time. Come on. They're brainwashed. The brainwashed idiot kids.
Okay. No.
Like this kid, it's like a 19-year-old white girl. What the? Like, really? Like you're that angry about what? You don't even know. You don't even know what you're angry about. All right. These are the same kids I grew up with, but there at certain points weren't issues like this happening. Well, like big issues like this happening when I was growing up. So like they just all became drug addicts and screwed off. Right. And a lot of them went to jail or become wastes of life. These folks had, something to yell about. So now they get to screw off and be drug addicts and wastes of life. But while yelling about causes and probably getting paid for it. It's nice.
Tell me what you want to see happen down here. I don't think so. No.
You can't even get something out.
No. What do you want to see happen out here?
We need the police to stand down. We are peaceful protesters. We are here to talk about the fact that Duante Wright was murdered. Murdered.
She's holding a can of spray paint. We are peaceful protesters. Okay.
In our community.
So what do you think of the explanation they've given that the police officer mistook a taser for a gun?
I've shot a gun. I've held a taser. I'm a beginner shooter, and I can tell the difference between a weight of a gun, the trigger of a gun, versus the trigger on a taser?
She has no idea. Either way, though, I mean, she's right? Like, first off, yeah, she has no idea. But at the same time, if you're a trained police officer, you should kind of know the difference.
The sound is different. The weight is different. The weight is different. Anyone who has held a weapon and shot a weapon knows what a weapon is. Right. That is the first thing you learn when you shoot a gun. Right. You understand what it means, what the responsibility that you're carrying. And if the police are telling us that it is that easy to mistake a gun and a taser.
Right. Are you going to stay out here all night, or what's the plan?
I'm going to do what needs to be done.
What's that?
Oh.
Be here for my people.
Get the police gone from our community.
Be here for my people, however long that takes. Be here for my people.
Sure. Do any of you know Duante and the family very well at all?
No, I don't.
No? Does anybody?
Get the fuck out.
Okay.
Don't give a fuck about
This chick's crazy.
All right. You
Out of
heard
her
all
mind.
that. Some of it rational and obviously some of it very angry and passionate.
Yeah, that's like mostly peaceful, fiery, or mostly slightly fiery protests. What was that? Mostly peaceful, fiery, but fiery protest or whatever, with the flaming dumpsters in the background or flaming cars in the background. Very passionate, very angry, concerned citizens. They don't even know who he is. Look, none of these people ever take anything into consideration, folks. Just the young people just see somebody got killed and say nobody should ever die. Nothing bad should ever happen. The world should be candy canes and rainbows and da-da-da-da. People die every day. Duante made some very bad mistakes, and so did the police officer, who's now a former police officer, who I'm sure will be charged. You have a right to be upset, but don't discount the fact that Duante was a criminal doing criminal things, doing gangster gangbangy things, right? And when you play the gangster game, sometimes gangster things happen. When gangster things happen, not all gangster things are good things, ladies and gentlemen. All right? But taking advantage of this situation, of course, is the one and only Obama, right? Of course, we would know that Barack Obama would take advantage of this situation, and why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he and his goblin face, his dog-faced gremlin of a wife, Michelle Obama? Why can't they? Why can't they stay out of it? Why can't they just let the communities handle this and the law do its job? Because they don't believe in the law, because they don't want the law to exist, because they believe in a socialist world, a Marxist world. We know who the Obamas have worked with. We know that Obama is close with members of the Weather Underground. We know that they want to build a world that's literally like China, like communist China. All right. And they want to do it step by step, piece by piece, right under our noses. They don't even know what happened. They don't know who he is, who he was, what he did wrong. They just think that police should never, ever kill anybody. Nothing bad should ever happen. And the world should be made of gummy bears, raindrops, and everything else. Nobody cares, all right, about anybody. Nobody seems to care about anybody that gets killed by cops unless it benefits them somehow. Right? Unless it benefits them somehow. So how does this benefit Obama? Well, it makes him money, of course, right? But again, think about that. You don't see the Spanish person that was killed, or the white person that was killed, or the Asian person that was killed, if it's not by a white person. Oh, I slipped that one in there. Listen, these things happen. These things happen. But to say that there's a perfect way to do things, that we could just reimagine police. Sure. We can talk about things. We can start implementing things. But the best way to reimagine police is to fund the police, is to train the police, is to give the police the resources they need to learn how to de-escalate and do the right thing. But instead, Obama Obama wants to reinvent the wheel, and we all know what happens when you reinvent something that already works. It just needs a little bit of TLC. All right. So this article by Breitbart, Barack and Michelle Obama, we must reimagine policing after shooting death of Duante Wright. And guys, again, if you really love what we're doing, all right, please follow, please subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave a comment, share this. All right, guys, if you want to follow along on YouTube, on Odyssey, on Rumble, anywhere we're posted, look in the description section below. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, iHeartRadio. We're all over on the audio side of things as well in the description section below. Hit the like button. Just hit it as many times as you can on as many videos as you can. I greatly appreciate it. And remember, if you're listening, please leave me a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. I greatly appreciate that too. And if you're enjoying this long one so far, if you like the effort that I've put in my condition, please do me a great favor and hit the support us tab. Go to the description section, hit donate, or go to www.americanreveille.com and hit the support us tab. And please contribute to the American Reveille. We put it right into the company, and we make sure that every dollar goes to improving our operation and waking up and empowering more patriots like you every day. All right, guys. So Barack and Michelle Obama. All right, man, Michelle looks bloated. She could really use some life change tea. Remember, getthetea.com, promo code James, free shipping and handling. Barack and Michelle Obama. We must reimagine policing after shooting death of Duante Wright. This is by Charlie Spearing. All right. Former President Barack Obama and former First Lady Michelle Obama voiced Tuesday their support to reimagine policing in American communities in reaction to the latest police shooting of Duante Wright in Minnesota. Quote, "Our hearts are heavy over yet another shooting of a black man, Duante Wright, at the hands of police," the Obama said in a statement describing the shooting as proof of just how badly we need to reimagine policing and public safety in this country. Wright was shot and killed Sunday by a Brooklyn Center police officer after he resisted arrest at a traffic stop. The police chief published body camera footage of the incident on Monday, arguing that a veteran police officer accidentally drew her gun instead of a taser to subdue Wright. Of course, again, I'll say it, he has resigned, and so has the police officer. All right. I don't know if he should have had to resign, I guess, because it's under his responsibility. Maybe he feels like he should, or maybe it was just the pressure from him having agreed. It probably is the pressure from him having agreed with the video evidence and agreed with the truth that it was most likely an accident, though it was one of the stupidest accidents ever, and there should be accountability. I've said that 100 times during this episode. I'm doing that on purpose, so nobody can say that I'm some crazy person that thinks that the cop is innocent in this. Most police officers I've talked to have even agreed that no good and well-trained police officer that knows what they're doing and should be on the street would have ever made that mistake. All right, they wouldn't have. Michelle and I grieve alongside the Wright family for their loss, Obama said. We empathize and empathize. Those are two different words with the pain that black mothers, fathers, and children are feeling over yet another senseless tragedy. Again, why is it okay, though? Why is it okay that people, for example, if the cops kill a white guy who's like a drug addict and he's like a drug dealer and he's like committing armed robberies and running from the cops, we don't really even give a crap about that. I just don't know, why? Okay, for example, if Neil deGrasse Tyson's a black dude, right? I love Neil deGrasse Tyson. If he got stopped in a traffic accident, right, and got out of the car and reached, I don't know, into his pocket for his license with one hand, and the cop just pulled out their gun and shot him, I'd be like, that's a racist ass cop. What the hell? Everybody needs to right now burn that. I'll be marching with you. Right? Oh, man, the one guy that probably figured out aliens, he's gone. But anyway, it doesn't matter what race he is. Anybody like that, that a cop blatantly did something to like that. Like just any person, right? That isn't, just give me somebody who hasn't gone to jail, right? There are plenty of people from any race, regardless of what that is, that have gone to jail that are pieces of crap. And there are plenty of people that are good people that have either worked hard to clean up their lives and have actually improved. And they're not lying about that, right? Like some people, or they've worked hard their whole life and they're just good folks, whatever community that's from and whatever race they are, right? So give me somebody who's just not a piece of shit. Anybody. And I'll march with you. I will. But until then, I'm not justifying what happened. I'm not. But at the same time, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. And the same can be said to the cop that shot him. She played a stupid game and made a stupid prize and won a stupid prize, right? And the game she played was freaking not having a situational awareness enough to know that she pulled a gun instead of a freaking taser. All right. She shot him and now she's going to be held accountable and she'll have criminal charges. That's how that works. Both of them played stupid games and won stupid prizes. All right. The Obamas acknowledged the shooting took place during the trial for the heart-wrenching George Floyd murder and called for a full investigation. We will continue to work with all fair-minded Americans to confront historical inequities and bring about nationwide change, changes that are so long overdue, they said. Do you hear that word? Remember a long time ago, I said the key word, equity, right? Equity is the key word for socialism. All right. Inequities, nationwide historical inequities. They want everybody to be equal. Everybody has to start from the same spot and end at the same spot. Barack Obama also voiced support for reimagining policing in June 2020 in reaction to the protests of the death of George Floyd. All right. He said the shooting incidents were the result of structural problems in the U.S. They're the result of a long history of slavery and Jim Crow and redlining and institutionalized racism that too often have been the plague, the original sin of our society, he said during an online conversation on the issue. Now, there are some laws out there. There are some things that need to be reformed, things that need to be looked at. But what happened here has nothing to do with slavery, Jim Crow, or redlining anything. What happened here was a dumbass criminal got caught in a car with expired tags. Mom's car has expired tags. Remember, that's the mom's car. All right. What's that say? There's much more to this story we don't know, guys. All right. So expired tags, pulled over. All right. Dumbass resists arrest, jumps in the car, and then equal dumbass freaking negligent cop pulls out a gun, thinks it's a taser, shoots the guy. Oopsie. Unfortunately, a very big fatal oopsie, and the cop will be held accountable. Again, so nothing to do with slavery. This entire incident has to do with stupidity on all sides. And now cities across this country will burn, and the left will use it as a way to push their socialist agenda. All right. At the bottom of that, by the way, there's a little thing that it says here. All right. I read the nationwide changes long overdue. Obama puts this out. He says, if you want to help, you can learn about the issues, connect with local and national organizations, and find resources on trauma and mental health, and take action here. And it shows a link for the Obama.org Anguish and Action page. And folks, you want to go down a rabbit hole and see what kind of evil socialist stuff they have planned? Go click that link. Go find that page and go spend a couple hours reading about what Obama wants to do to police in this country, what he wants to do to communities in this country. And it's not pretty. It's not pretty. All right. This lines his pocket. They put out a statement with a link at the end. You have to always ask yourself, how does this benefit that person? All right. That is how he will get your money, through that link. All right. Obama, all of them, the Obamas, they are rich as hell off of the pain and suffering of their people. I dare say Michelle and Barack Obama are modern slave masters with invisible chains stretching across millions. All right. You got to see the truth, ladies and gentlemen. You've got to see the truth. And a real easy way to see the truth is by finding out what people in the community. And I'm here to tell you, people in the community are not happy. They aren't. And they're not white people. All right. Black folks in the community. All right. Older, more mature folks who aren't immature and childish and 19, 18, 17, 16-year-old white, black and other ethnicities just running around preaching the critical race theory and social Marxism that they've been taught in school, in college, wherever they're hearing it on the internet, through all of their favorite actors, actresses, through all media outlets. Trust me, you're not the target. My audience isn't the target of the media and of movies and of hip hop stars and of rock stars and of actresses and actors, all these people preaching the leftist doctrine. It's our children. And that's who you see. All the faces of the people I've shown you in this so far, all the faces, all right, they've all been kids. That is the target. That is the army the left is building. They are the future. All right. They're the future of the Democrat Party and the future of the destruction of this country to bring forth the socialism that they want oh so dearly. We can't let that happen. All right. We have to hold it off. All right. We have to. There's no other way to do it. There's really no other way to do it. All right, guys. So let's take a look at what this guy has to say. All right. There's this guy here. He lives in the community. He lives in Brooklyn. Brooklyn Center, Brooklyn Square? Yeah, Brooklyn Center in Minnesota. All right, you're going to see what he has to say to them. It says, watch, man cusses out CNN on live television for making things worse as community gets destroyed by rioters. This is by Cassandra Fairbanks. And you're going to see this guy come out. All right, he's gonna speak a little harsh. You'll see. And you'll see this CNN anchor. Really, man, she is just hungry for a story, hungry to make news out of anything because she wants that money. She wants that sweet virtue signaling approval, and she wants that sweet left-wing woke money, that woke blood money, that Uyghur blood money. Ladies and gentlemen, a CNN reporter in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota, was cussed out on live television for making things worse as the city gets torn apart by rioters. The man snapped at Sarah Sidner, a far-left activist reporter, asserting that they're twisting up the story and all the press and all the extra shit y'all do makes this worse. As you can see, y'all be twisting up the story and shit y'all doing, he said before trying to take her mic and refusing to give his name. Quote, what I think about this is all the press and all the extra stuff you do makes this worse. All right. But I'm going to quit reading it to you and I'm going to let you see it. I'm going to let you hear it. All right, let's go.
Easy it is. That is all tear gas and it is extremely strong.
She's reporting to people who have never been around tear gas, never been around anything else. Her audience isn't you either. All right. It is folks that are like the grandparents of your children who just watch CNN. All right. People who make big money decisions, people who are also like wealthy folks that live in wealthy, nice gated communities, right? That never see any of this stuff, that have never had any hardship, that donate money to left-wing causes. This is their audience.
Just now, I'm going to try to sort of stand in the street a little bit. You look there.
And they're going to dose the truth.
Now you can see.
Y'all be twisting up the story.
You want to talk to me? Do you want to talk to me? Okay, cool. No, don't take my mic, but we're cool. Okay.
But we're cool. I hate people that talk to that. She sounds so condescending.
What's your name?
What's my name? My name is my name.
All right. So tell me what you think about what's going on here.
What I think about this is all the press and all the extra shit y'all do makes this worse.
You think so?
Yes. When people want to protest, they shouldn't do it in front of a fucking police. Courthouse. Shit like that. You get what the fuck I'm saying?
I want you to be careful. I really do.
What?
Of anything that could hit you.
See, it's because it's fireworks. They're harmless. And she's like, I want you to be careful of anything that could hit you. She's trying to pull emotions at home. And he's like, of what? Of what? I live here already. It's tough enough here already. It's tough enough having living in this hard town, this hard city, and now we got a bunch of kids here tearing shit up. I can't take care of business. I can't do what I got to do. I can't live my life because these kids are tearing my city down. And you guys come out here and perpetuate the madness by spreading lies and craziness, by spreading all of the BS in your narrative to make money. It's all about the money. This guy knows. This guy's awake. This guy's enlightened. It doesn't matter if he's on the left, on the right, or what he is. He's a man. He's a human being. And he lives in the middle of this crap. And he thinks it's garbage, just like you and me.
Anything that can hit you. Look at all the stuff of this.
Of what?
Of this.
Do it look like I'm scared?
No.
It's fireworks.
Do it look like I'm scared?
You don't. You don't.
Exactly. Y'all need to get up out of here with all that twisting up the media ass shit.
Okay.
Real shit.
You don't know me, but we're going to get to know each other. That's what we're going to do.
We're going to get to know each other. How much audacity do you have to have? How much self-love do you have to have? How much not self-love, but like super like narcissism, right? How much cockiness and how much condescending bitchiness do you have to assume that someone's even going to want to know you, going to want to tell you their story?
Yes, we are. We are.
How you gonna know me?
We're gonna talk. I'm gonna share a number with you. All right, let's do it.
No, let's do it right here.
Let's do it. All right, here's my phone. Let's go ahead and share me.
Talk about something that's real.
He's like, I don't want to talk on the phone. I want to tell the truth right here. No, I want to get rid of you. Talk on the phone. Maybe she'll just throw some money at him to shut up.
Tell me what's real.
Y'all just gonna edit out the shit.
We're live.
And then y'all gonna edit out some other shit.
We're live right now.
You're not fucking live.
I'm live right now.
I don't care if you live or not.
Okay, but
get away from here with all that media shit that y'all doing.
Right now.
Look,
we're with CNN.
He's obviously
take
upset.
That camera all the way the fuck up there. Then.
We are going up there.
Take it all the way the fuck up there. Y'all doing all the extra shit for the backhand shit to make people look all crazier than what the fuck they are.
All right, then you watch us because that's where we're going. All right, so everybody's.
Yep. That's the whole thing. They just want them gone. Just go away. Everybody go away. Stop perpetuating the problem. They're shining a spotlight on the problem and lying about it, which is like pouring gas on the fire. That's the reality of everything, folks. That's the reality. All right. In the beginning of this, we talked about the mom, and everybody's kind of frustrated with the mom. The mom's the one with the car with the expired. We don't know her story. We don't know how that goes. But one thing I will say, I'll bring you back to the beginning. I'll read what the mom said. And what she said is absolutely correct. All right. Miss Wright said all the violence, if it keeps going, it's only going to be about the violence. We need it to be about why my son got shot for no reason. She said to a crowd near the shooting scene, we need to make sure it's all about him, not about smashing police cars. That's not going to bring her son back. All right. I agree with her. I feel bad as a father for a grieving mother. I do. But again, like I said before, her son's a criminal. Right. And though I don't necessarily feel bad for any criminal that does something stupid and gets something bad happen to them, I also understand the injustice of it, right? And the punishment, what happened to him didn't justify necessarily the crime, right? It could be argued that he could have been going for something, or they could have been scared or whatever, but the negligence on the part of the police officer is not excusable. It's not, right? So it's possible for me on the right to have this view. It is. And it's possible for you on the right to have this view too, because this is the truth. Here is the truth. Here is the absolute view that has to be taken on this, because it's the truth. Okay. Duante. All right. Or Duante Wright. Okay. He was a criminal doing some criminal stuff, driving a car with expired tabs with a warrant out for his arrest. He put himself in a bad situation. All right. Put himself in a bad situation, made it worse by running and resisting and doing what he did. Okay. At the same time, all right, you can't tell a girl like, oh, something happened to you because you dress like that. That's wrong. Right. So look, just because the guy was doing gangster stuff, police have protocol to follow. They have rules to follow. Right. And just because he did what he did, it didn't necessarily justify what happened to him. The cop made a very, very bad mistake. The cop should pay for that mistake. All right. At the same time, this is exactly what happened. What she didn't want to happen is what happened. She was right. She was absolutely right. You got people like Obama, right? You got people on the left, big organizations, BLM, who's Marxist-ass owner, who hates white people so much, bought 4 houses in rich white communities, that hypocrite. And now BLM's coming out with statements saying if you judge her, you're racist. Oh, everybody's racist, right? So BLM came out, all these people that make money off of the pain and suffering of people like Duante Wright's mom. Okay? They may make some money out of the lawsuit, right? But the real people who make money, that'll be the Democrat Party, the left-wing activist organizations, and people like Barack Obama, people like Michelle Obama. Those people, they'll make money off the pain and suffering of the family. Do I agree with criminals who do criminal stuff? No. But do I understand the grief and pain of a family? Look, not everybody's perfect in a family, right? But they were once babies, and that mama held her baby, and I get it. I get it. I get it. So it's possible for you to be a conservative and to understand that even though these people are involved in a life you might not understand, that's their life. Crap wasn't always easy. Bad decisions were made. Maybe, just maybe, their kid would have had a chance one day to fix things in his life, right? Think about it like that. If this cop didn't do what the cop did and pull out the gun instead of the taser and kill the kid, maybe the kid would have just gotten arrested, right? Gone to jail, got the shit kicked out of him a couple times, learned a few lessons, maybe got lucky, find Christ, something, right? Come out, become a better dad, clean up his life, right? Get a good job and figure shit. People do that. People do that all the time, and I commend them. So maybe, just maybe, doubtful. I mean, statistics are doubtful for any person. I'm not talking about him as an individual. I'm talking about him as a statistic is doubtful. But maybe, just maybe, if that cop didn't pull the taser instead of the gun, he would have had at least a chance. So I get that. I get that. At the same time, the cop isn't off the hook. The cop has quit. She's resigned, and I'm sure charges will be filed imminently, and we'll take it from here. But the people who benefit are the big dogs with their Antifa, their BLM foot soldiers. You heard what they said. You heard how they feel about the media, about the left. You heard how out of control they are. And you heard what the people in the community feel about it. They don't want this destruction and chaos. They just want peace. All right? They want peace, and they want to figure stuff out. Plain and simple. And I think as Americans, regardless of how we feel about each other, I think we should all at least give each other some space for that, for peace, some space to figure some stuff out, some space to come to logical conclusions. And that's what we need at the end of the day, logical conclusions. Unfortunately, I fear in 2021, there are not many logical conclusions. And so, speaking of logic and not logic and things like that, people probably been wondering half of the references I've been making or even why I've got this thing on my neck. The people listening, I've been showing pictures of things that look like what I look like right now. So I cracked my neck. This is the stupidest. I'm 36. I'm falling apart all of a sudden. I cracked my neck like 5 days ago in the kitchen, like, and I normally crack like everything, just, those are my knuckles like that. That's nasty, right? Everything cracks. I'm all beat up and screwed up. I got so many injuries. But I cracked my neck real hard. And then all of a sudden, I got nerve pain and stuff. I sprained like a muscle or something. I hope it's not like broken. Like, imagine I cracked my own neck and broke my neck. Be out of my freaking mind. But I hope that didn't happen. But it's been a couple days. I read that it can take like 5-6 weeks for like a sprained neck to heal. And while that's happening, the swelling pushes on the nerves. So I can't sit here, right? The last couple of days I've been trying to get podcasts out. I can't sit here more than a few minutes. It's killing me. It's killing me. I get shooting sharp pains down my arms, down my back, down my legs. And so I bought this thing. It's got this little pump, and I pumped it up, and I literally look like one of those booba kids, right? It's from the kids show. It's terrible. I look ridiculous, or like the bad guy from Bill and Ted. Or my favorite, my Filipino wife came to me and she goes, "Oh, you look like roll-on deodorant," and that's the perfect one, I think. That really is. I look exactly like roll-on deodorant. Boom. So I know it's kind of awkward. It's been awkward staring at me this whole time with this wacky thing pumped up around my neck. But I'm having severe nerve pain. And I wanted to get this podcast out. I thought it would be a special podcast, a really long, good podcast to kind of make up for the last couple days that have been, besides having to write the dissertation lit review, which was hell with this neck thing and doing all kinds of other things. I couldn't sit here. I couldn't and get the podcast out. So I finally got this in the mail. I was able to pump it up and with enough muscle relaxers and Tylenol and Ancient Life Oil CBD. Boom. That's a plug right there. AncientLifeOil.com, ANCIENT, lifeoil.com. Use promo code James. They're not even the sponsor of this episode, but I'll plug them anyway. Promo code James, free shipping and handling. Their stuff is great. Thank you, Ancient Life Oil, for helping me with my neck so far during this, because I'm sure the edge would have been a little sharper if I didn't have that CBD oil. It's really good stuff, guys. AncientLifeOil.com. But seriously, I really hurt my neck. I'm hoping that it heals in another week or two. If it's not getting any better, I'm going to have to go to the doctor and get x-rays and stuff. I just have no choice. But man, oh man, I can't even go to the gym. I can't even go to the freaking gym. I'm like scared I'm going to crack my neck on the bench press and be paralyzed. I don't know what the hell's happening here. So bear with me. I'm going to get a bunch more podcasts out this week. I'm not going to do a bunch more 2-hour freaking bangers like I'm doing right now. I'll get a bunch of 20, 30s out, 40-minute good solid podcasts. So you guys have some great entertainment, get some good factual information, and can arm yourself with some good knowledge in an entertaining way. I'm just thankful you guys let me get this out to you and you're allowing me to do this. So, I'm having a lot of fun. I'm having a lot of fun as an entrepreneur, figuring out what works, what doesn't work, what fails, what doesn't fail, how to get around the censorship wall. And it's all because of you guys. I appreciate all of your help. I really do. Please sign up for the newsletter. Go down in the description section, hit the link, sign up for the newsletter. So if we go down, what we're putting out. All right. We're just going to grow and grow. And you want to do that anyway, because like I said, we're going to be announcing soon the $200 sticker competition. All right. I'm going to send out stickers to a lot of people. All right. And if you put it in the most creative area, you send that picture, we put it on social media. We're going to get hundreds and hundreds of these out. The winner will get $200. All right. And the 3 runners up, they'll get $50 each. I'll explain the contest more and more as weeks go by until we start putting official promo flyers out, and all that information will come soon. But it's a real good reason for you to be paying attention to what we're doing every day on the American Reveille. So guys, thank you so much for putting up with me. I appreciate you guys listening to the facts, letting me throw in a couple of my little crappy jokes and humors in here. I'm just trying to get through this with all this freaking pain anyway. I feel it right now, like in my ass, like my left ass cheek feels like electrical spike is going through it, So yeah. Hey, if anybody's ever cracked their neck and had this issue before, I would love it if you could let me know what the hell's going on in the comment section, or you could email me, jameslane@AmericanReveille.com. By the way, if you want to blog for me, I'm going to start adding bloggers to the American Reveille website, kind of like how Barstool Sports does it. So please email me, jameslane@AmericanReveille.com, for blogging. We are also accepting writers. I need all kinds of people, digital artists, people who would like to do some street team stuff in your hometown. Let me know, jameslane@AmericanReveille.com. Finally, have somebody taking a look at the website, getting it upgraded, so that'll come out soon as well. The brand new, awesome website. I'm super excited for that too. Guys, thank you again for exploring the truth with me, and I will see you on the next episode of the American Reveille Podcast. And oh yeah, do me a favor, stick around a couple minutes. I have that little ad I put together at the end here for the Life Change tea. All right, get the tea.com, promo code James, free shipping and handling. Get the tea.com. I told you before, it's this awesome cleansing tea. Get the toxins right out of you, get the bloat right out of you, clean out your colon, your intestines. Real gentle, good stuff. Get the tea.com, get the tea.com. Stick around right now for a little commercial. Thank you guys again so much, and have an amazing day. Bye. Ladies and gentlemen, James Lane here, and I want to tell you about Life Change Tea. That's right, Life Change Tea. I have a pack of it right here. Listen, as many of you know, I've been working really, really hard to get back in shape, okay? I was thinking lately, right? And you should probably be thinking about it too. With how crazy everything is, with how unstable the government seems, with all of these socialists, all of this leftist insanity. You would just call insanity. Who knows when the hell I'm gonna have to run, or when I'm gonna have to, I don't know, save my family from something. I don't know. So I was getting fatter and fatter and fatter, feeling crappier and crappier and crappier. My diet was junk. I started by cleaning up the diet. I've been working out more and more, but I was still bloated. I was still gassy. I was still feeling crappy. And I finally decided to pull out an old trick in the book. All right. Something that I used for weight loss in the past. And I was thinking about a cleanse, right? Maybe take something that would help me evacuate my bowels a little bit, if you know what I mean. But you know, what I found was something different. I found Life Change Tea. All right, www.getthetea.com. I found this Life Change Tea, and instead of a 7-day or a 14-day cleanse, a 3-day cleanse, what they were offering was a daily tea, like a daily delicious iced tea, not some kind of weird hot tea or some kind of nasty tasting thing. No, this was a health supplement. All right, I started reading about it, and they were talking about all these herbs, these ancient herbs, right? Look at this: organic blessed thistle herb, malva leaf, organic marshmallow leaf. I didn't even know what the heck a marshmallow leaf was. Apparently, it's for anti-inflammatory and antioxidants and stuff. I looked some of this stuff up. It's crazy. Milk thistle extract that cleans your liver and kidneys. I mean, there's all these different things in here, but I was happy. I was attracted to it because it was all natural. It was put together in the U.S., right? Obviously, they've got to get spices from these very special places. Not spices, but you know, these special herbs. They got to get them from special places around the world, but it's all done here. It's packaged, put together, and blended accordingly right here in the USA. All right. And I tried it, and it was delicious. Look at this. I'm old school. I fill a jug. You see this big jug right here? And for those listening over there on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and everything like that, I'm holding this big gallon jug that used to be full of water. See those tea bags floating in the bottom there? This was full, guys. But I've been drinking it every day, twice a day, 8 ounces. Take a listen. Pour it in the glass. Oh yeah, that's not a sound effect. That's real. Look at this. Cheers, ladies and gentlemen. And mabuhay to all my Filipino friends out there. I have the mint flavor. It's actually really good. I really like it. It's yummy. Look, this stuff's good. I can take that right now. I'm going to do 2 hours of podcast recording after this. It's not like me drinking that's going to send me running to the back. It's gentle. It's good stuff, all right? So it's got all these herbs. They cleanse you out. They make you regular again. They clean the toxins out of your system. They help you clean the extra waste that's been stored up in the colon, the stuff that's not healthy for you, not good for you. It keeps the bloat down. I don't feel so swollen. You know how you feel like swollen sometimes? Your fingers are... Yeah, you don't feel like that. It's gone. It's absolutely gone. So it's good stuff, guys. Listen, you have to go to getthetea.com, GETTHETEA.com, www.getthetea.com, www.getthetea.com. Promo code James, folks. Promo code James. That'll get you free shipping and handling. It's not expensive. It's good stuff, all right? It helps maintain your health. It cleanses your body from all kinds of toxins, all kinds of things that can cause colds and flus and different things like that. It keeps the bugs out real good. It helps your digestion, all right? Just like I've been saying, my bloats, I feel so much better, guys. I feel so much better. And just in this journey that I'm taking to get back in shape, I really feel like it's helping me immensely. It really is. I really think so. So try it out, guys. Life Change Tea. You just saw me drink a bunch of it. You just saw my almost empty jug. That's, by the way, like the 3rd jug. All right. That's not the first jug. Not the first jug at all. Trust me. It's good stuff, guys. You're not going to be disappointed. You're going to thank me. All right. www.getthetea.com. www.getthetea.com. Get your life change tea. Use the promo code James. Free shipping and handling. Thanks, guys.